Hey reader, welcome back to the channel. This is Centaur here, and I am joined once again by Tiberius and his son Gorgowrath. This is my brother. This is my nephew. They helped get me into wargaming, which is loads of fun. And today we're talking about the top 10 US assault infantry options. So if you want to play really up close and personal, how do you do that with Americans in an army that most people say cannot do assault? And while you were doing something, I can't remember, you started kind of thinking about this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we had a video.
Well, so weeks ago, at the time of this recording, which is still weeks ago, probably by the time this goes up, there was somebody in the comments of one of your videos. It was probably on one of your unit type videos, and was like, "Oh, but I play Americans. We're so strapped for SMGs. Like, I see all these." It may have actually been the SMG infantry
Probably,
video,
yeah,
where, or like the one on our SMG's good. And the comment was something to the tune of, "Americans don't get this, it's so unfair." And I went, well, there is a unit, I'm not going to spoil it today, like right now. And I was like, well, there's a unit that you can field at 7 men that actually gets a lot of assault weapons.
This is true.
For pretty cheap. Yeah. And you can stick that in an M3 white scout car with an officer, and boom, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And that got me prompted into thinking, are there other units? Because I'm constantly iterating. Americans are my guys. I'm constantly iterating over, is this the best way for points that I can be running units that are designed to push? Because Americans need that. Rangers are great. Rangers can be push units. They're going to show up today.
This is true.
But most of the time when I run Rangers, they're heavy weapon rifle teams. They're there for tactical reasons. It's 3 men with rifles, 4 men with rifles if I have the points. And so they're not designed to do that. So we need other units to do it. And that's what got this thing.
Cool. Now, before we begin and jump into the juicy part, right, which is basically like, the methodology, and then from there, the top 10, because we all know you guys just really love top 10. I need to start with a mea culpa on our last interview, which for those of you who don't speak Latin means my bad, basically. So last time we were rolling through doing our stuff, and I didn't pitch like basically anything to Gorgowrath, and I felt really bad about that. I discovered this in post-production, and I was like, oh my gosh, and editor Aaron kind of got on my case. And so this time around, we thought about this because you don't really play Americans.
I don't.
But you play against Americans quite a bit. Like a lot.
Like a lot.
Like, probably over 50% of your games are against them.
Like 75, yeah.
And there you go. And you play Germans.
Yeah.
Which are not necessarily the best at assault in the game. People would probably say like East Africa Command, Japan, Italians if they're running paratroopers, things like that. Right, exactly. Like people would probably say that those are like the best. But Germany's not horrible.
They're not.
Because you get a lot of SMGs. Assault rifles, right? Like you get tough fighters all over the place in different formats. And so one of the things we're going to be doing as we're going through the top 10 here is that after we discuss how very interesting this assault unit is for the Americans and how see, there's some assault options here, we're going to kick it over to our German player and say, like, is it real? Like, does it impress you? Because you get access to relatively easy access to good assault units between cavalry options and some machine gun options and assault rifle options and such. And we're just going to see, like, do you feel like these are actually viable? Could they actually do a reasonable job on assault? And that's how we're going to do it today. And hopefully it works better than last time. And so looking at the overview, we're going to, I'll just kick it over to you to talk over methodology.
Yeah. So before we get into the methodology section, those of you that don't care about my blather can just start reading. What are assault infantry and why do we need them? So
this is also, by the way, why we call you guys the readers, because we all know what
we all know you're here for reading. So first off, you see U.S. Marines there. Most push units in the American list are Marines.
This is true.
Some kind. There's a lot of Marine units. Not everybody. There's airborne in there too. Rangers. Technically, there can also be U.S. Army. We'll talk about that. But a lot of the units we're going to talk about are Marines. Warlord has a really great Marine sprue. It's fabulous. Gives you lots of shotguns, which none of the other sprues do. Gives you lots of SMGs.
A lot of submachine guns too. Yeah.
So it's a really great sprue. If I had to pick one sprue, like I really like the Ranger sprue. I think the Ranger sprue is really good. But if I had to pick one sprue to be the best, it's this one. So get Marines. If you don't have them yet and you want to play Americans, get Marines.
That is a spicy take, probably.
That is a very spicy take, but I'm going to stick with it. I think it's really good. Also, get Rangers. Rangers are good too. But this is the thing, right? So Rangers Rangers can be push troops. Assault troops are units that are designed to go forward, take ground, hold ground, and ideally wipe enemy units off of ground. And usually they're going to do that through one of two means. They're going to do it with tough fighters given by submachine guns or other assault weapons. So for the Americans, that includes shotguns. For other factions, that can include assault rifles. Or they're going to do it with cavalry, right? Both of those give you tough fighters. There are some units now that can take tough fighters as a unit type or some other kind of upgrade or whatever. But generally speaking, when we're talking about push troops, most people are going to think submachine guns are in the unit or cavalry are in the unit. And if you play like Moroccans or whatever, it may just be a point per model. Or like, I forget which of the Africa ones it is. Is it East Africa?
East Africa
Or is it India?
I think
I forget which one
New
it is.
Zealand also gets it, and
Anyway.
the Gurkhas also get it. Yeah.
There are guys who can just get tough fighters. Yay for them.
Yay.
Not Americans. But we're not going to broach that subject again because we do that every American
That's
video.
right. Check out the Zern mission pack if you want it. If you want 1 point per man on certain American units, you can find the Zern mission pack.
Way. So generally speaking, your infantry are going to fulfill one of two roles. They're going to sit in the back and shoot. This includes artillery units. It includes guys with small machine gun teams, other heavy weapon related teams. And those guys are not designed to get up in the enemy's face. And then there's the guys who actually have to go and take the objectives that your backline guys and maybe your tanks have cleared. And for that, you want assault units. And so when we're looking at what these guys do, they need to be able to do damage when shooting, but they also need to be able to do damage in melee. Not necessarily because they are going to instigate melees, but because your opponent might try to do it in melee. So we're going to evaluate how well they do in both. And when we do our final assessment, we're going to evenly weight the shooting damage and the melee damage. Now, I immediately know every time I make one of these math models, somebody says, but I don't think that that's right. And that's fine. All math models are wrong and some are useful. I made a big note in red text there. I changed the weightings. It did not make a significant difference in the relative ranking of the units. And that's because most of the American units, especially the harder you go into assault weapons, their melee damage score and their shooting damage score is the same, which I did not know, but here's basically how it works. You are slightly more likely to wound if you get 2 shots than if you get 1 rerollable, but you automatically hit. And I'm assuming that you're hopping out of a transport shooting at point blank. So the difference between hitting on 1s, as it were, in melee and hitting on 2s evens out the difference and they end up scoring the same. So for those of you that don't believe, the numbers are all in here. And you know, I have the math models there. The main determinant was, given how many points you're paying for other rules, how much are you actually getting for, like, can you get all of your dice to have assault? Can you also get that on units that are veteran? Can you, if you're not able to get all of the units that are assault, are the extra dice that you're getting from shooting your rifles countering the increase in score that you're going to get for assault weapons that are not getting a -1 modifier, right? And so, yeah, it all kind of shakes out. The American rifle dilemma is an interesting thing, and it does come up here. The long story short, and I won't ruin the rankings or anything, sometimes that extra dice shot or 2 that you get can make all the difference. Yeah. So, because it basically means that you get one guy who has a submachine gun that is not actually a submachine gun. So
sounds good. Alrighty. Well then, as we jump in.
All right. So these are what assault infantry are. The important thing from this thing is that 2 assumptions have been made. The first is you have to have 3 or more SMGs in your unit in order to qualify. Most American units can have 1 SMG on the NCO, and we're not going to let that play today. If you could only get 1, you don't count. So the heavy weapon rifle teams, who I love, do not get to play today because they're not really designed to be push troops. If you have 1 guy that gets an extra shot and 1 guy that rerolls failed dice, he's not pushing. That's not his job. And also, I've capped everything to 7-man squads for non-platoon commanders because I want you to fit an M308 scout car. For the platoon commanders, I say you stick to 6 because that leaves you room in M308 scout car to put a bazooka.
Good idea.
And so, if you're going to be pushing with some units, might as well have a unit that can take on armor as well.
Yeah.
I didn't look at company commanders. They're platoon commanders, but cost a lot more. So they'd be automatically at the bottom. A veteran, 78-point platoon commander. I don't need to evaluate that. I can tell you exactly where he goes, especially when he's paying 17 extra points per guy to add in, 5 more of those. That's 85 more points, and he has to add the SMG, so he's almost 85 points.
So you're looking like almost a 200-point unit.
Yeah, 170. It's the bottom.
Yeah.
Easy. So no, don't do that with company commanders. Company commanders are great, inexperienced with pistols and trucks, but not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you could take multiple veterancies, I only did that for platoon commanders. Everyone else, if they could be veteran, I took them veteran.
That makes sense. Yeah. For those of you who may be newer to bolt action and are more in the theory crafting phase and haven't played a whole lot of games, all you need to know is that when you're in an assault format, especially when you're the one attacking, the biggest issue with attacking with inexperienced and regular troops is that the opponent's going to do a lot of wounds to you, and thus they might win the combat even if you do a decent bit of damage to them. And so one of the benefits of using veterans for this is that you're kind of mitigating the number of wounds coming at you while still having typically good access to weaponry that's going to help you out with doing wounds back to the enemy. So it's good. Obviously, there are some people who can make good use of inexperienced and regular assault units. I don't know that Americans fall into that category anywhere. Maybe regular Marine Corps squads, but I don't know even about that. So anyway, suffice it to say, I buy that as a methodology.
Before we hop over, Gorgowrath, we pre-planned this bit. As a German player, before we get into here's some American builds, how many units do you generally try to go for in a push unit?
I tend to go for like 5 to 7 because like you can, if you have 5 or 7, for 7 you can have like 2 Panzerfausts for anti-armor, and then about like 5 or 7 submachine guns. 7 is a bit like over the top, but something like that. Like 14 shots is like what?
That's how I run them.
Yeah, exactly.
Good into veterans. It's good into veterans.
It's good into veterans. Yeah. But then 5-man squads are like either 3 submachine guns and 2 Panzerfausts or 5 submachine guns.
Mhm.
And the 5 submachine guns is like where you want to land on, kind of. Because 10 shots is good in the veterans, but also not over the top for stuff like stupid 3-man ranger squads.
This is a good point. This is a good point. You're not wasting as much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is our home meta coming out, right?
Exactly.
I like the 3-man squads. He knows he's going to waste shots if he throws 14 dice into them, which is why I run them. So he responds to the meta by running smaller but still punchy squads, which makes me run bigger squads. It's an evolving thing.
Yes, sir.
Right. So then why did you land on 7? Is it just because you want 5, maybe 7 SMGs, or is it like you gotta fit them in transports?
Yeah, so for transports, one of my favorite things is I've started moving towards Washer slippers, but when I
Man of taste.
when I do DV7, Hanemeg, and then you take an experienced platoon commander or regular, it doesn't really matter. Falcon and Dardanmurray, 7-man squad of 2 Panzerfausts and 5 submachine guns, and you stick it on that transport, and you say, "Yay!" That's it.
So once again,
That's a really good
it's
idea. Yeah.
because 7 fits in the transport.
Yeah, 7 fits in the transport, but yeah.
I will just say as a budding German player, my Landwasserschleppers still run 7-man because I tend to run 4-man Feldjäger Corps, all with submachine guns, as a 4-man push unit with 2 squads of 7-man Strafbattalion. They got 3 SMGs, so they would also technically qualify. All of those units would technically qualify in this assessment. And then that leaves you room for a platoon commander if you want to. And he can be taken regular if it's a recce Landwasserschlepper, or you can run a company commander. If you're running the company commander, he's definitely got to get out of the transport because that thing's going to blow and he's going to die with it. So, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, okay.
You can also do like 7, 7, 5, and 1. And
That's true. That's true.
That's where.
And then that way you can command all of them with a single snap,
exactly.
which is pretty sick.
One last thing before we move on to the next slide. Which American unit immediately comes to mind as like, I feel like this one's gonna win it? And I think Centaur, you've looked at the slides. I don't know if
I looked at them several days ago and then I got busy with work stuff. So like my initial thinking is I feel like there's a Marine like Raider unit or Pathfinder unit that can take like at least 6 assault weapons.
That's Pathfinders.
Pathfinders. I feel like that's a good shout. I'm a cavalry guy, so my immediate thought is maybe like Philippine Scouts, but they're also regulars.
We're also not going to run Philippine Scouts, but for those of you that really like, Randy, if you're listening, for those of you who really like Philippine Scouts, please stick around to the end.
Yeah.
Because I didn't let them play, but I scored them anyway. So
I'd be very curious to see where they end. But yeah, I mean, mostly the thing I like about them is 18-inch charge range, right? So like
Yeah.
your ability to get in, assuming that they aren't sitting in a rough ground area, because I don't think you can get fieldcraft on those guys.
Unfortunately.
It feels like that could be useful just to guarantee that you're within range. Because I have failed charges before by like a quarter of an inch and then lost the squad. So I'm aware that sometimes having that extra range is really nice.
Gorgowrath, do you have any ideas on who you expect to do well, or you're like, they're Americans, I don't care?
Well, I mean, I'm honestly probably gonna go with paratroopers because usually you got
Paras?
paratroopers that's like submachine guns everywhere.
This is true. This is true for basically every army.
Yeah, pretty much. That probably gets that. I don't know enough to pull out a Philippine name out of the hat.
That's cool.
I don't know.
My choice before I did the assessment was the USMC Raiders. They're the unit that I recommended in the comment, 4 SMGs, 3 shotguns.
That's a lot.
123 points veteran.
Yeah.
But for 123, it punches really hard.
Yeah.
11 shots with assaults. It's quite good. And everyone's tough fighter, everyone's stubborn. So it's pretty good.
And veterans, right?
And
veterans. That's a veteran squad.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Veteran
Do
squad.
you have to pay for stubborn?
You do, unfortunately.
That's
Yeah.
More on that later. All right, here we go. Number 10, regular platoon commanders.
Oh, yeah, how about that?
So here's the interesting thing. If you determine the average expected number of hits that have to go into a unit in order to kill it off, if you're inexperienced, it's a 1.5 modifier, because 1 out of every 3 shots that come your way, you're going to save, which means half of the hits that you would take, you ignore 1. Right, so for every 2 shots that hit you, 1 of them you ignore, which means it's a 1.5 modifier.
Yeah.
And so normally, if you have, say, a 10-man unit inexperienced, that's 70 points.
Right.
And those 10 wounds are going to turn into 15. Well, it turns out for the same cost as that, you can get 5 veterans who also have, with a 3x modifier, 15 wounds. And so generally speaking, when you're looking at, like, we'll say Japanese units, if you're looking at 14-point veterans or 7-point regulars, their expected wounds are the same. And if you have 7 regulars with a 2x modifier, theirs is basically the same. But platoon commanders mess with this math because you're not just getting
the men
7 points per guy, 10 points per guy, 13 points per guy, because the officer himself adds a 9-point tax.
Yeah.
And that means that when you compare inexperienced, regular, and veteran platoon commanders, the regular platoon commander costs more per guy and gets you less, because less in the wounds department. Expected damage, he is the same as the veteran guy, so that's great. But his health score is kind of in the tank. And so you'll see over there the expected number of wounds that they're supposed to be able to do when they shoot and when they're in melee. This is a 6-man squads, two seats left over for a thing. 6 SMGs, 104 points. Not terrible for a push unit. Not terrible for a push unit. 90 points would be 5 men. That's probably better, to be completely honest. But you're expecting 12 hits into my unit in order to kill me off. That's after cover. It's after, to hit modifiers and stuff like that. 12 hits that actually get into the unit in order to kill it. But he ends up scoring 2nd best for damage, 3rd best for melee, 2nd best damage overall, 9th best health for cost, though, and an overall score of 10th.
Interesting.
Right? This unit costs basically the same as a bunch of 7-man veteran squads that take fewer SMGs at just over 100, which means that basically you could add some extra guys,
Right.
to your 6-man squad. Add an extra guy, and that extra guy is going to add extra health. The unit as a whole, being veteran, is going to add extra health, and they're going to actually get more overall damage than you do. So if they could all get SMGs and stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, not great, really not great. But yeah, the health for cost really made a big determinant here, and I think it's a fair point. If you're looking for push troops, health matters. And this unit's going to hop out of a truck, and it's hoping that it stays alive. And I just don't think that it can do it.
Yeah. So if you see 6 regulars with SMGs coming at you, are you scared of that squad coming in?
Yeah, it's because I run 5 to 7 man squad.
Yeah.
We're all dead. That's it. Goodbye.
But once they go,
they go,
if they're in the open,
it's and now you get to die.
And that is something worth considering for all of you who may be newer to the game, because I know we have a lot of newer people to the game on our channel. Yeah, it's not just how hard does it punch, it's can it take the counter punch afterwards, and that is something worth considering.
I've looked into a lot of Soviet Guard units that run a mix of
Yeah.
Panzerfaust SMGs. They're cheaper than veterans. If you have the points, you definitely want to pay 3 points per model to make them veteran, because like the punchback hurts a lot, and you're really disincentivized of going into melee with somebody if you know that they're going to wound you on 4s.
That's true.
Like, you know, if they've got 3 guys, they might kill 2 of you, and you'd better wipe the unit at that point. So
that checks out.
not great.
With the knowledge that obviously we don't really have a baseline for what might be higher than this, it feels pretty reasonable to put it in number 10.
All right.
Oh, interesting.
So inexperienced platoon commanders came in 9th. They have the best damage for cost, shooting and melee, and overall.
Okay.
They have the best.
What?
Because
of assault.
because it's 6 men
they
with
hit automatically.
SMGs. Their assault removes one of their negative penalties, and because they're at point blank, they're hitting on 3s with
That's
2 dice
true.
apiece.
That's true.
So if you're hitting with 3 on 3s with 12 dice, you're gonna hit with 8 dice,
Okay,
and that's gonna translate into almost 3 kills against veterans, which is
Okay.
what we're evaluating. So they are expected damage like bottom of the pack, but because they cost 2/3 to sometimes half of what the other guys are gonna cost, their damage
You're
comes
good off there.
right up to the top. Now, health for cost, they are the worst.
Fair enough. Yeah.
The only inexperienced units we're evaluating today, and they are bad. They die quick. 9 hits into the unit, and they're supposed to be gone. Which basically means if these guys are caught in the open, they can be wiped in close to one go by basically any kind of push troop that wants to do it. So yeah, their overall score is tanked by their defense. Their offense is fabulous. But I did make a note here for slightly fewer points. There's a 4-man USMC War Dog team, 4-man veteran SMG, 72 points. It is more resilience, slightly less punchy, but it's going to stick around longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really great. They're really great. I would run inexperienced platoon commanders with pistols for 20 points, single man. But,
Okay, so by the way, Joe Lint, he represents Team USA at the WTC most years. He's also, I think, the 3-time champion of Historicon recently. He
Yes,
loves inexperienced platoon commanders with submachine guns. And he's like the only guy I know of who like runs them. He's just like, oh, I run them all the time. It doesn't matter what nation. I sometimes even run them fully maxed in terms of number of guys. And he's like, you got to believe me, Aaron, like it does actually work. And when you put it like this, I kind of see it. I still don't do it basically ever.
They should definitely advance out of the truck into cover.
Yeah,
because that
helps.
grows that 9 number quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I think I buy this.
Glass
over
cannon.
regulars.
Glass cannon.
Yeah, that's
an
true.
interesting idea.
That's true. Yeah, it defies my standard logic, but I can kind of see it.
Play around with it, kids.
if you see 6 inexperienced guys all with SMGs hopping out, are you scared?
Like, I mean, like, considering they're all in like first place for that,
Sure.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel as scary, right?
It doesn't feel as scary.
Okay, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
German players, Volksgrenadiers, inexperienced, submachine guns on as many people as you want.
Remember, he's new to this.
Pop them out of a truck. I'm just saying. It's 11 points per guy. You know, like, field a 7-man unit for 77 points. I don't know. Could be good.
Guys, he's new to this. Give him grace.
It could be good.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
I think it does better than 7 regulars. I think it does better than 7 regulars.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm very curious on this one. I'll have to mull over it. Also, maybe I'll even time this with the Volksgrenadier video because we're doing we're covering defend the fatherland special rule.
Volksgrenadiers.
Yeah, they're interesting.
Take a few.
Yeah,
they work.
Morty and Glory loves them. So
right, kids.
Somebody out there on YouTube is using them, so you should check out his videos and see how his battle reports go.
Oh look,
veteran platoon command. Okay, I'm assuming that these ones are so low because they paid the officers.
They pay the officers.
They're paying for that snap too and that morale bonus. Okay, that makes sense.
And if you think about it this way, right? 7-man squads taken veteran have an extra guy, which means more wounds, more damage. Things like the Pathfinders have 6 SMGs that they can get in them. So the 6 SMGs is
That's a good
not
point.
unique. And what you're going to end up with 12 shots is more or less what the other guys are going to do if they have rifles that get an extra dice or
That's
whatever
true.
starting from that, right? So the thing is that the offensive firepower of these things is not actually that much higher than what you're going to get from other things, like from a dice count perspective. The fact that they're all assault is good, but the dice you're rolling is not all that different from basically everyone else in the field. So, you know, these guys, like this guy, tied for second with the regulars. They're only marginally ahead of the guy that's in 4th place, right? And even the other guys, if you look at the spread, like it's not that different. Like it's 2 and 2/3 against 3 and 1/3 for like the 8th place guy was inexperienced, I think, and the 2nd place guy. So the field is small. It's really, really small. And so you're paying 18 extra points on what the inexperienced officer does, plus the 6 points per guy. So that's another 36, 30 points, extra 30 points, right? So you're paying like close to 50 points, more than half of that inexperienced unit in order to get the veteran. And that's fine because it gives you bonuses that guy doesn't have because your offense got better and your health stayed the same. But the when you compare that to the guys that are paying just over 100 for 7-men veteran, handful of SMGs, extra dice from rifles, it just kind of turns out to be the same, right? I could have paid for a veteran upgrade. And if I paid for stubborn on either Marines or Airborne, we could have taken extra guys. You could have put 8 guys in the transport, filled it, and maybe ran at, I don't know, an M13 MGMC next door, and he just snaps both vehicles and himself to go and attack things. You could do that if you wanted to. It would only make your score worse. Because now you're paying still more points, and the relative gain that you're getting because you're making the unit so expensive is just not there. It's just not there. And as an important note, 123, that's the number to keep in mind. My choice for the winner was the USMC Raiders, 123, 7 units, all with assault weapons. Like, we're paying more than that. We get fewer guys, we get an extra SMG. That's not nothing, but it basically means that we get 1 more shot than they do. We get 12, they get 11. But they got an extra guy at veteran, and like they're not really losing that much more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I kind of buy it. I do appreciate that you also made the note down there below that, like, if you wanted to take things like Rangers, horses, stubborn, things like that, like, you can do that, but all that comes with extra costs. It's just a question of ancillary options, right? Because I do feel like the Rangers upgrade could be a really nice boon if for no other reason than you're starting closer, which means you get to assault sooner.
Yes.
Right, and you take advantage of your submachine guns a little bit sooner than you otherwise could. But it also means you're probably not in a transport. So are you actually closer? Are you able to get in sooner? That is actually a question, right, that needs to be asked up front. But I mean, I kind of buy it just because, again, like, veteran's so expensive from an officer perspective specifically, right? Because you're like basically twice as expensive as an inexperienced platoon commander on just the commander side of things, and then the individual models are almost twice as expensive as the inexperienced guy. So like I kind of buy that. That makes sense.
Now, one thing that I will note here, and then we can pass it over to Gorgowrath. Horses are 3 points per model.
Yeah.
And Rangers is 1 point per model.
Yeah.
So instead of SMGs, you could just get horses with Rangers.
That's true.
They have
the same cost.
The exact same cost. You still get tough fighters. That would not allow it to play today, but we would talk about it at the end. So put a pin in that. Keep that in mind for, I don't know, recce platoons. And also Randy. Hi, Randy. Here's your Rangers on horses thing with your token Philippine Scout Squad. It would give you the same melee damage. It would not give you the same shooting damage. But I put it to you, if you're putting them on horses, I don't think you're planning to shoot much with the carbines anyway. No. So it's probably fine.
That's fair.
Do you run any of your commander units, Gorgowrath, with the intent of using them to attack things, or is it just pistols?
It's just pistols,
It's just
man.
pistols.
The German units is like you do not have points for stuff jumping out.
This is a good point.
Like it's kind of expensive. Like the veteran, because you have to like the veteran troops, and those are about like 100 apiece if you're buying Panzerfaust. You've got the Storm Trigger if you're gonna be cool like that, or you've got the 253. No, the 250 something free that's got a howitzer and 2 pencil mounted machine guns for 30 infantry. It's like golly, those are so expensive, man.
So spending 120 something points on a commander doesn't appeal to you?
No.
That's true for a lot of people. More on that
I think
maybe if
most
we do
people.
the same thing for the British.
Most people, yeah. Well, and I think one of the things too about the platoon commanders is that unless you're playing in a setup where they limit you to a certain number of platoons and specifically a certain number of rifle platoons, people are going to say like the big benefit of bulking out a platoon commander squad like this is that you basically get an extra squad. But how many times do I really need an extra squad over and against the other squads I already get, right? And so there could be some situations. I know there's a current challenge going on where it's like one box, one rifle platoon. And so you have to build your entire army from that one infantry box, and you only get one rifle platoon in order to build the whole thing out. And so the result is people are like, well, it could be really nice to have a really big officer section because I wanted to run 5 big squads to use up all of those 30 bodies, and I need an extra one. I'm certainly not going to build any AT teams probably because there won't be any armor because we're only working with infantry boxes. They're like, maybe I want light mortars, maybe I don't. If you're like me, maybe you don't. And so they're like, okay, well, maybe I do want a bigger squad to kind of give me an edge. But short of that kind of niche situation, which again is relatively new, I think that's a 2026 thing, where it's really kind of come into its own. I don't see a lot of people investing heavy into officers. So there's that.
More on that maybe if we do this for the British.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Number 7. Oh yeah, this is the really expensive squad, right? It gets like all the rules, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So this is the most expensive unit that we're going to look at today, only because I didn't push that veteran officer section or even the regular one to be bigger. Yeah, it has stubborn and fieldcraft, neither of which matter for this assessment. Fieldcraft will encourage us to benefit from cover. I grade out the expected health here because they have 21. That's tied for first.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Everyone after here basically has that.
Yeah.
There's one exception, I think. Everyone else for this is 7-man teams except for one.
Interesting.
So, okay, yay. They tied for best total health. Hooray. The problem is that they are so expensive. And with 7 men, they get 4 SMGs and 3 rifles, which means they're throwing 12 dice, which is the same as basically everybody.
That's true.
11 or 12 is kind of what you're looking at for pretty much everybody here on out, but they're paying 131 points for it. And when you do that, the shooting score is gonna, like, it's fine, 4th place. So that's fine. But the expected wounds in melee are basically the same as a lot of other people. And so it's slightly better than some, but it's lower than people that get more SMGs. So, you know, in the end, it ends up just kind of being not great. And when you factor in the fact that they're doing the same expected damage more or less as everybody else, but they're dividing that by a larger overall cost, 13, you end up with scores that just put them straight on the bottom. And this is one of the things. Most people who talk about Meryl's Marauders, some people really like them because Fieldcraft is great. It's really, really good. But the thing that everyone else says about Meryl's Marauders, and even the people that run them, is that they are so expensive for what they give you. There are cheaper ways to run 4 SMG units in Americans, and sometimes you can get away with only 3. So, you know, if you're in the camp of I like Meryl's Marauders, I see you. They're a really interesting unit. I'm not going to buy any. Because I'd rather, you know, again, 123. I'd rather pay 8 points less and get 7 assault weapons. 4 SMGs plus 3 shotguns for less points. And the only thing I'm losing is fieldcraft.
That is actually an interesting change. Yeah. Cool. I mean, I think I don't know that there are too many people in general who run Meryl's Marauders outside of obviously a historical context where yeah, they really, really want to run it because I mean, you know, Meryl was cool, right? I mean, he's a goat right there in terms of the beginning of the Pacific campaign. So like I get that, but yeah, I think even just the fact that you don't even have assault on everybody is problematic for me.
For those of you who want to see a defense for them, Bo Mortensen did 2 interviews with international American players. In the first of those, one of the guys, at least one of the guys who was on the chat, made a defense of Meryl's Marauders as a good American infantry choice. So check that one out. I'm not gonna apologize for them too much in this particular thing because they came in 7th.
Yeah.
So
no,
I'm not going to
perfectly serviceable. Perfectly serviceable. And considering their expensive cost, that's not a bad showing.
Now, can you do better with Tiberius Jaegers?
Yeah. Like they're just like they get all those rules, but they're cheaper and in my opinion better. Like they can get because the thing is you're not like you're not getting extra rifle shots and you just say okay, some machine guns like
right. Yeah.
I think the Gebirgsjäger proper unit can only take 3 SMGs, but I think they can take as many assault rifles as they want.
Yeah.
So once you factor in 1 assault rifle and 3 SMGs, it's the same, right? But now, if you want to, you can make up some of those extra points. You're only paying 14 points per model base, so that's only 90 something. You know, you're paying about 20, so 110 for that thing. So for 130, you could have all assault rifles or SMGs, I think, in a standard Gebirgsjäger unit. You're not stubborn, but you do have fieldcraft, and I don't know that you need stubborn.
Yeah, I feel like at the very least, if you've got that many veterans, how often are you actually going to use stubborn? Because they're probably going to be chipping away 1 or 2 people at a time. Again, you can check out the stubborn video where I give that whole thing. I think we're all more or less in agreement on stubborn.
Stubborn is fine. Yeah, it's whatever.
Cool. Pathfinders. Okay, now this is the squad I said I liked.
Yes,
right?
and they have the highest expected amount of damage. They are
Nice.
It's cheaper than Meryl's Marauders, and that tanked their score a bit.
Yeah, I definitely didn't remember the rankings on this one. Now you know I wasn't cheating. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, I feel like 6 SMGs on a 7-man squad is really not that bad, right? I mean, you know, sure. Okay, I kind of get the damage for cost, damage for melee sort of thing. That seems reasonable. But I think in general, I tend to like them. I think they're good. I'll cut this part.
The big point of comparison, I think, for this unit is that it costs about the same as Meryl's Marauders. I'm going to go on record and say this isn't a replacement because Pathfinders and Meryl's Marauders are doing 2 different things. Meryl's Marauders, you're paying for fieldcraft because you want them to do that kind of a thing. Pathfinders, in an ideal case, are outflanking, and that puts them in a very different position. So, or it's like if they're in what's the LZ signals do? It's like if they're held in reserve or something like that, then your other guys in reserve get a thing, something like that. It's cool, but it means that they're not doing the same thing. But yeah, this is an expensive unit.
Very expensive.
It's an expensive unit, and it does give you 6 SMGs. I'm actually of the opinion that if you want to run 6 SMGs in a unit like this, even though it gets the best expected wounds at range and tied for the 2nd best wounds in melee, I think you might actually be better with the platoon commander squad.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad challenge.
Because for 50 points less on those, you can get 6 inexperienced guys with SMGs instead of 7-man veteran. It might be better that way, and it might also be better to get veterans on horses or something like that too. So, yeah.
Okay, this is War Dog team now. I find this one interesting because it's not very big.
Yeah, so it's a 4-man squad maximum.
Yeah,
4-man squad maximum. These guys have the worst scores.
Yeah.
For expected damage and wounds, and that's of course because they only got 4 guys.
Yeah.
Scores of 5.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, and the slide is a little bit wrong. It's a base 2-man unit, and I added 2 extra men. So there is 1 seat left over in a water weasel for an officer. And I think if you're gonna put them in transport, you definitely want the water weasel. Water weasels are cheap, 36 points in experience. That means the whole thing, officer with a pistol, war dog team, transport, it's like 120 points. So for the same cost as the 2 big units that we saw, you get 3 order dice, you get 4 men with SMGs, not a bad push unit, not a survivable push unit, but it's not a bad push unit. And then an officer and transport to get them where they want to be. And the transport's got amphibious for free because it loses its tow capacity, which you were absolutely not using in Americans.
Yep.
And it's amphibious. So if you have to go over water, you can advance over water. What up? It's also got turn on the spot. So make sure that you turn at the end of your move so that you can't be forced to run off the board if you accidentally footboard.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're good. Cheapest unit, 72 points, beat out the inexperienced dudes. And then you have to take 1 marine unit in order to field it. So field a marine unit. There's tons of good marine units in the game. Yeah, but its score was overall hurt a bit by not having this, but it is still a good unit, and it doesn't take up one of your infantry slots. It's extra selection.
That's true. That's true.
So it can be, if you're doing the one box 1 rifle platoon, make a unit of Marines and throw one of these guys in there for 4 extra guys. Really good choice.
This is true.
Nice for like hunting, like little squads. Like there's some objective you just like, and then you get on that, and that's nice. And war dogs are like what, spotters? War dogs count as like spotters, right?
Yeah, so they can detect units that are hidden,
Yeah.
which there's not a lot of units that do that, but more now that there's
It's true.
Is
It's
it the
coming out more with the
Canadians
with the
have some
Australians, I
units that
think.
do that,
Yeah,
the
they
Australians?
can start
Yeah.
hidden and an ambush
Yeah.
potentially.
So
So
hey, rules.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know that there's too much more to say about these guys, but 4-man SMG push units,
Yeah. I mean,
Feldjäger Corps, or
Feldjäger-
these guys, or both.
Honestly, I kind of like this better. Like Feldjäger, mostly I just don't use them because I don't run struck. But he runs struck on like a lot, like a lot. Like yeah, like all the time. I prefer the hair veteran grenadiers, but that's our perspectives. Like, and these guys, like, I like the like he runs 4-man submachine guns. This is 4-man submachine guns. It's pretty nice. Like, and I like these because for Americans, you can get you want all the submachine guns you can get.
So anyway,
You go next slide.
top half,
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad
not
performance.
bad unit.
Right.
All right.
Now the Raider
Here's
squad.
my boys. They missed the podium by 1.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm also
yeah.
just really confused as to which units are gonna be at the top.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if we go back a little bit, Pathfinder squad. No, we haven't reached them yet. Never mind. I have nothing to say yet, except for what I was going to say.
Okay.
So these are mine, boys. I still think that they're really great. I still think that they might be the best. They get the most expected wounds in melee because they have 7 assault weapons. So there's that. Their expected damage at shooting is pretty good. Yeah, but they've got really good health for costs. For what they're doing, their damage for cost is fine. And yeah, they are the only unit today that gets all assault weapons that are not the officer units. So yeah, they basically scored about the middle, and that gave them about a middle score. But yeah, 3 shotguns, 4 SMGs. If you want something that feels kind of German, this is what you run, or
Gotcha.
Soviet.
Yeah, and slightly
That's which
cheaper
one?
because you're getting shotguns instead of SMGs.
Yes.
I am fully behind this.
You do have to pay for stubborn on these
Mhm.
guys. So if you don't like stubborn, this may not be the unit for you. There are also some lists. We did this in the American armor video. I try to fit these in, 2 of them in M3 scout cars if I can. There are units that can take 20 points off of this, and part of that is that they're not paying for stubborn. Part of it is that they're not playing for shotguns either. So that's definitely a thing. But yeah, it's not a terrible unit, and it's my personal favorite. So
Oh, I like it. Cool. I mean, yeah, I got no arguments against this. Again, I feel like the Raiders were one of the ones that I knew was going to be pretty high. Number 4, again, just leaves me mostly wondering who the heck is in the top 3 positions. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess next slide. Let's see where we're at. Number 3.
Paratroopers.
Oh yeah.
all right, so
Okay, that makes
so
sense.
this is the last of our predictions. Was paratroopers. Paratroopers get 3 SMGs.
Congratulations.
And 4 rifles, and they do so. These guys, I guess there's some options, I guess. That's what you can do. But they got the 3 typical SMGs. They get the rifle, so it's 5 extra shots, which means it's still 11 shots. It's just slightly less reliable than the 11 shots that you'd be getting on the assault unit.
Sure.
But they are also 13 points cheaper. And their health is going to be the same. Their damage is going to be close to the same. You pretty much want these guys because they're going to live for the same amount of time. I think if you have the 13 extra points, I think you should get USMC Raiders. But if you don't have the points, if you're an order dice off and you have 2 USMC Raider teams, and you're like, well, if I take 2 of these guys, I can get a 3-man light mortar team, which I know are terrible. But but if you do decide that you want to do that, or if you want to run a 3-man for 21 points heavy weapon rifle team, then you can be like, hey, I'm going to do that instead. I'm going to run some of these guys. And taking his Rangers, 7-man Rangers, it's a decent push unit with 3 SMGs. They can have 3 SMGs and 4 normal dudes. Decent guys. They get up the field very quickly. And again, their damage is kind of mediocre, 7 and 8 overall. But their health is good, and they're not that expensive. So if you need a push unit that can double as just a stick on an objective kind of a thing, maybe drive somebody off, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
Yeah, no, I buy it. I mean, I tend to think of Rangers as a supporting fire unit because I tend to run them with BARs or LMGs. I think a lot of people do. But you're right, 3 SMGs on a Ranger squad, the initial move moves you up pretty close, like we were talking about with the officer section. Like, you might get in sooner than you otherwise would with the SMG without having to pay for the transport cost. So you're ignoring some tax that way. Okay, I buy
Yeah.
it. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And the attack is like okay, like it's alright.
Yeah.
But it's really nice that they get the nice health. They can just survive out there. Sitting on
Mhm.
objectives, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or just carry like the briefcase off or yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Nice.
So run paratroopers if you want to. I would personally just run rangers.
Yeah.
I don't know the universe where you actually run paratroopers. Because Pathfinders are a thing if you want more than 3 SMGs. Rangers
That's
are a
true.
thing if you want the extra movement. And there's actually 2 other units that we're going to look at here shortly, who basically fit this bill, but for 7 points cheaper because they don't have to pay for stubborn or for Rangers Lead the Way. So if you're sticking them in transports and you don't want the Rangers, I don't know that there's a universe for paratroopers, which is a really sad thing to say.
Yeah.
I think there's a universe for Rangers. Lots of people like big Ranger squads. I do not. My Ranger squads get shot up by German SMGs. So I don't run the big Ranger squads. But a lot of other people like them. So there is that. And for 90 points, I think it is. No, not quite. For some number of points, you could do what Centaur does, which is 7 or so Rangers with BAR instead of the SMGs. That will be cheaper than what this thing
Yeah, I
is.
think mine comes up to 104 typically. Just remind that.
So again, circa that 100-point thing gives you the same resiliency, gives you 10 shots instead of 11, but you get those 10 shots at 24 inches. So, you don't have to get as close. It's pretty good. Not much more to say, I think. But
well then, number 2.
US Marine Squad.
The basic Marines.
This is a discovery for me because I'll be honest, I thought you had to pay for the veterancy stubborn upgrade if you took these guys veteran.
No, it's optional.
Turns out you do not.
Yeah, it's optional.
Yeah. So these are some of my new favorites. It's basically the same 7-man USMC Raider squad, except you don't have to pay for stubborn. You don't get the 4th SMG. And that's all. And it results in you saving 14 points, 2 points per guy, basically. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, they function basically the exact same. Tied for second in the number of wounds, right behind the USMC Raider squad.
Nice.
And tied for first in health. Overall shooting damage is again not great, but again at 2.7, they're only behind the leader at like 3.6 or something like that by like 1 expected wound every time that they shoot.
That's really not
Not
that bad.
terrible. Yeah, and then health for cost, they're fabulous. Really, really good. Still 7 veteran wounds for just under 110 points. They're really, really good. And yeah, I am planning to start running these and see if they change functionally how my list works. So
Interesting.
yeah, really, really good unit. The one thing I will say is that the Raiders can be fielded as 4-man squads, which means you can stick them in water weasels. These guys have to be bought at 7 men.
Yes.
Which means that the number of transports you can fit them in is still there. They can still fit in an empty-weight scout car. But you can't do multiple small unit spam with these things.
And for those of you who like historical, you can fit these obviously in armored half tracks if you really want to. I tend to find the movement on the scout car tends to be better for getting assault units where you want them as early as round 1. But
if you want 2 extra seats, the M2 half track is not wheeled, it's half tracked, which is both better and worse than being wheeled, but it gives you 2 extra seats for 2 extra points.
Which is not bad.
So if you like the half tracks, the M2 is an excellent choice. M3 gives you 2 more extra seats and a 360-degree on your HMG for 7 total points more than the other guy. So 2 for the seats and then 5 for the 360-degree.
Yeah, which is not bad.
Also not bad. 9 points more than a M3 scout car is definitely doable, but you'd have to find the 9 points. Which maybe you did by running one of these instead of a
Marine
MC Raider. So yeah, definitely possible. Definitely possible.
Okay, well, I love it when the baseline unit actually makes a good appearance.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Doesn't all have to be specialists. I love that. So, but this does again confuse me because you said you weren't judging regulars elsewhere, so it's not the regular U.S. Marine Squad number 1.
It's not. Well, this is a veteran Marine squad. If you want to go ahead and advance it.
So what is it?
It is the Glider Squad.
Oh yeah.
Or the INR Squad.
Oh.
Because both of them can take 3 SMGs, 7-man regular, and they're not paying for extra upgrades. Like you can pay for stubborn on the gliders. Yeah, they're 103 points. So yeah, it's a 0.05 better than the Marines, 0.074 better than the Paras and the Rangers, and 0.165 better than the USMC Raiders overall. Which basically means you can interchange any of these, and it's basically all the same. They are all really close in score, but they basically save you 7 points off of the Paras and the Rangers by not paying for the rules. And they are like a little bit cheaper than the shotguns because they're not buying the shotguns
Right.
from the other units. But because they're not paying for the shotguns, they are getting an extra shot, which balances out the hit modifier that the shotguns are ignoring. They also do a little bit worse in melee, but they're still fine. Like they're still throwing enough wounds. I don't think they're actually tied for second. I think they're supposed to be like fourth at 3-0 because the second is 3-3. But they're still basically doing about the same number of wounds in all directions. They are getting the same health, but they're doing it at still a slightly cheaper cost. So if you like glider infantry as an idea, if you like airborne troops but don't want to pay for stubborn, these are your guys. And they're really, really good. And the INR squad can be taken as 4 men. So if you want to run something that's pretty efficient for push in a water weasel, multiple small arms, multiple small units kind of a build, the INRs are your go.
Interesting, yeah. And yet, 4-man squad with 3 SMGs is for value quite a bit of firepower.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's crazy.
And if you need to save some points, 1 SMG with 3 rifles is also not terrible. You're going to get about the same number of shots. It wouldn't qualify in today's assessment, but it is really good. And theoretically, if you have like in the videos that we did where I couldn't fit USMC Raiders into transports, I put these guys, the glider ones in there. In a world where you just need a unit to push up out of a transport, hop into a place and do things for just over 100, I put it to you. I think you could do worse than this.
That's true.
In other factions. Like I'm currently painting a lot of Norwegians, and they don't get access to SMGs on basically anything.
Yeah, basically just officers.
Yeah, so for 100 points, you're like, well, I'm getting 9 rifles or something like that. 8 rifles. And 8 rifles versus 3 SMGs and 4 rifles. They get the 5th shot. Like, it's not particularly close. Like it's kind of a problem. Yeah, and it makes it a nice pound for pound kind of a unit. You're facing Japanese that are paying 100 points for a paratrooper squad where people have tough fighters but aren't getting the extra shots. You can drill into them, get their numbers lower than yours, and then you show up and stuff if you need to. Suddenly your opponent's not feeling great about that odds. And if you get 2 shots into them before they go, of course, you've really got the advantage, and then they really don't want to charge into you. So it's an interesting trade. They're very cheap, they're very efficient, and they push really hard and do the job.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Okay. I'll be honest, I feel so bad saying this. I forgot about them. So there's that. But maybe that's just a sign that this is one of those diamonds in the rough for Americans, that if you've been struggling with Americans and you've been thinking about them a lot, maybe try give them a closer look and see what's going on. We're back. Okay, so yeah, glider infantry, if you haven't tried them, maybe give it a try. And this is the part of the show where we talk about the scouts.
Yeah,
right?
So go ahead and advance. One more thing we got to talk about before we get to the list. All right, so Philippine Scouts. Philippine Scouts did not get to play today, but they are assault units because you buy horses for them. Because why wouldn't you buy horses for them? Like, otherwise they're just U.S. Army infantry. Like, so of course you're going to buy horses for them. And horses, for 3 points per model, give you assault, which means that these guys have carbines when they're shooting, but really they want to get into charge range. So here's what they did. Here's how well they did. If I stuck them in, and now had 11 units that we were looking at, they would have the worst damage for cost when shooting because it's just 6 carbines. Why did I only field 6? 1, I don't need the transport. So 7 is arbitrary. 2, I don't think this unit is good enough for you to just like make it as big as possible. Cavalry, you gotta have the ability to block it off completely from line of sight, or you need to be able to make sure that you're getting cover, because the cover save's already in the tank, so you gotta make sure that you're getting it, and that's gotta be behind something. So small units with 1 guy sticking out better than large units with lots of people sticking out. So 6 people. And we can only take them regulars. So dumping more points, as we already saw at the beginning, dumping more points into regulars is not always the best choice, because the regulars are not getting enough out of the juice as they could. They are, though, tied for 4th as some of the best combat units, melee combat units that you can get. And when you factor that into melee damage for cost, they shoot all the way up to number 1. And it's not particularly close either.
Right.
The unit that they're beating costs almost 50 points more than they do, which is almost the cost of a 2nd Philippine Scout unit.
Right.
For perspective. I don't think you want to do that, but you could. And you could, for that 50 points, take your inexperienced push commander squad and make it a horse veteran Rangers lead the way squad. So if you're running a recce platoon and you need a platoon commander on a horse or in a transport and a unit as your compulsory, 1 unit as your compulsory on horses so that the officer can take horses, bam, there you go. You got it. Great damage for cost. Overall damage for cost, if you average those 2 things, they came in 2nd. So really good damage. Their health is, of course, abysmal. Tied for 8th with the USMC War Dog team. 8th overall, but still beat 3 units in the health for cost category. And overall came in about the middle at 7th. So, they beat a few units. They beat the platoon commanders and Merrill's Marauders. Narrowly beat Merrill's Marauders, but they also cost only a little bit more than half as much. So, still a good unit. The defense is really what's letting them down. But if you wanted to say, but Philippine Scouts should compete, I don't disagree. I still think you've got better push units, though. I think these guys are really going to struggle to keep objectives. If that's your objective, I don't think that's what these guys do. But if you need to run over weapon teams, bring these guys in outflank or something like that. Run over weapon teams that are hopefully fixed front. You pop in behind them. I think they're fabulous. They can get in a shot when they arrive, then they can charge in. Probably going to do enough damage. They might lose a guy, and then they can move on and attack something else. Like, pretty good. Pretty good units. Yep. And remind me, if you regroup into another unit, is that allowed?
No, not
No?
really.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a rule in 2nd edition near the end as part of the Case Blue campaign book that allowed Italian cavalry specifically after they won a combat to, instead of regrouping, they could perform a 2nd charge.
Okay.
But that was the only one, and it has not made the crossover now.
I'm okay with that.
I think it's a healthy thing. That I had questions about that back in 2nd edition. I haven't had to ask the question again now in 3rd, so it's all worked out okay.
But consider this, for those of you that are facing Japanese immortal gun lines, these guys at full strength in melee are supposed to kill 3 veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have 3 men on an artillery piece, you are supposed to wipe them. Yeah. And if they have 4 men, you're supposed to take away fanatics. Mm-hmm. So that has a pretty decent chance of making sure that you clear things. Now, I forget which of the new Commonwealth nations gets fanatics in combat and keeps it even with 1 man. I think it's the Canadians.
Yeah. So Australians start with us. They always get it when they're on defense. I want to say I think it's the Maoris.
Maybe the Maoris.
They get fanatic all the time, even when they're down to only 1 guy.
So maybe don't charge those guys. Maybe don't charge those.
Canadians get stubborn, if I'm not mistaken.
It's something like that. I don't remember.
They're dogged.
I don't have the Commonwealth stuff in there. I looked at the book for the first time the other day. So I don't know. But in a world where there's a growing number of people that are like, I don't mind fighting a 2nd round of melee, maybe avoid running into those units until you've softened them up. But if you can get them down to 3 and then you charge into them, I mean, you have a good chance if you're still at full strength of clearing. And the reason I picked artillery is most artillery are fixed front. So, the autocannons of the world, maybe not. But for howitzers, mortars, heavy mortars are a big thing. Howitzers are less of a big thing, but AT guns are pretty common for armies that are not toting good anti-armor options. Otherwise, those might be good things for these guys to run over.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, and just in general, when it comes to assaulting fanatic people, just be careful in general doing that with regulars, right? Because they are probably going to do some damage to you, pretty sizable damage to you. And if you don't get them down to the point where they lose fanatics, they might have just ended the fight in their favor in the process. So you just have to be careful with that. Cool.
List time.
All right, and you built just the 1 list for us today.
I built just the 1 list
just the 1
to illustrate
interesting
all of the highest ranking units. So this is what in the Star Wars Legion community we call a Highland list. Highland lists are lists where no 2 units are exactly alike.
Oh, interesting.
Now, this is not a common thing. You almost never see it in bolt action lists because most people are like, I'm going to field 2 light mortars. You immediately lose. Like, immediately can't be a Highland list if you do it. But with Americans, you can designate whether your inexperienced and regular troops are Marines or U.S. Army, which means my 2 platoon commanders are either, the 2 inexperienced ones, are either U.S. Army or they're Marines. Okay? And I did the same thing with the mortar teams. So, Highland lists. It felt like a good thing to do in a
Go
historical
team.
thing.
Look at you.
Yeah. So highest ranked guys were of course the INR squad and the glider squad. I have both of those in a recce platoon, 103 points each. And to help them out, I have lots of transports. We're gonna get into my tropes of transports here in a minute. But joining them, we have USMC Raider squad, because why not put that in a thing, and a paratrooper squad, which again I do not think has any legs. But he ranked, so I put him in there. I also put in a Ranger squad because he was tied for 3rd. So he is in the rifle platoon. I have a U.S. Marine squad, 7 men, and then a USMC War Dog team. And that gives us the 7 highest ranked units that were in our thing, not including the Philippine Scouts. I'm sorry. If we downgraded the paratroopers to a glider squad, then we could upgrade the USMC War Dog team to Philippine Scouts. So for those of you that want to do Philippine Scouts, we can get them in the list.
Nice.
If you want to. And the USMC War Dogs are the lowest ranked of the other units, so we'd be dropping the lowest to add someone that came in about the same place as he did overall. So, yeah, no, we have 2 light mortar teams for the order dice count. We have company commander inexperienced. We've got 2 pistol wielding platoon commanders, and we have 3 transports. So we have a water weasel. This guy, the green guys all go in the same transport. They're color coded. So it's a recce. It's a recce water weasel, and he's carrying the war dog team and the platoon commander. We have a ducky amphibious truck with a 360 HMG for 67 points regular, and he is holding the USMC Raiders and a platoon commander. You could put any of the 7-man squads in there if you wanted to. And then we have the water buffalo. Everyone's got to have one. And the water buffalo has the pintle HMGs and forward MMGs, so 9 shots. And he's holding basically everything else: the paratroopers, the gliders, the INRs, the Marines, and the company commander.
Yikes.
And the thing about this is that because there's four 7-man squads, it's a 30-man capacity transport. You can move on with the water buffalo or recce with the water buffalo, and you can snap all 4 of the guys in. So all the SMGs are coming out, everything is flying. Some of those are shotguns, and it's a lot of shooting that all pops out at once. And the water buffalo himself is throwing nine shots himself. So it gets close to 50 dice that come out when that guy activates. And at 15 order dice, you're not guaranteed to get the first dice, but you can recce away with this thing behind a building, hopefully. And that ought to make sure that he gets a thing. The react move you can't shoot, I think, on the advanced turn. So ideally, so it's like 40 shots if you're advancing out after a recce, 50 shots if you're doing the recce move. You wouldn't be able to snap everybody with snapping the water buffalo, but you could get all but 1 squad out, pick the INR squad or something that sits, whatever. That's an option. And that means that the only units that are not in transports are your 6-man Ranger squad. I had to run 6. I didn't quite have the points for 7. Sorry. And the mortar teams.
Yeah.
Which means that if you have 15 order dice, you can save the 3 transports and the 3 non-transported units as your last 6 order dice, and the first 9 dice all go down, ambush, whatever, inside the transports. And you make your opponent give most of his deployment knowledge before you have to go. It's not great into armor. You got 3 HMGs on 2 units, and then 2 light mortars. But you will eat all the infantry, and if you eat all the infantry and get to objectives first, then the enemy can't take them from you, even with armor, which means you can still win.
This is true.
So that's a thought. Okay. And all of the transports are amphibious. So if there's water on the board that restricts movement or provides choke points, you're not worried about it, and your opponent might have to make adjustments.
Nice.
I don't know that this is a good list. I don't know that it's a good list.
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes that I would make to it.
It's light on AT. Yeah.
It is really light on AT. I was mentioning before we got on, I would really like bazookas. At least 1, possibly more. But I think the list will eat all the infantry. That might make it not
Yeah.
bad.
And it could work really well against like a Japanese partisan or Norwegian list where you're not worried about armor.
Sure.
Right, where they're a lot less likely to be coming out and playing than other stuff. I will also note, if you have a company commander with 4 squads and a transport in there, I would leave the paratrooper squad inside, because if the transport gets destroyed, they have to jump out and they take wounds. That's the stubborn unit.
That's a good point.
So that's what I would do.
That is a good point.
And it feels like the amount of offensive firepower from an SMG perspective is basically the same. So
that is true.
That would be my gut instinct would be
That's a great idea.
But
don't leave the Marine squad in there.
Yeah,
their guys are
it's
way
an interesting concept though, and I really do love the idea that it's built around board control and board design rather than just here's the the raw pure stats, right? Like there's a mobility aspect built into it as well. I would kind
of. One thing that I will note, I don't think I have my notes on here. You could drop the forward MMG on the Water Buffalo. It's 10 points. I think you can drop that and an SMG on somebody in order to get that Ranger squad up to 7 men. So if you wanted to do that, you could. The other thing that I would look into if I were to make this list better is, again, the paratroopers are overpaying. So you could downgrade the paras into a glider to get the same effect.
That's true.
So again, if you want the Rangers to be a bigger squad, you can certainly do that. The other thing is that Water Buffalo cost about the same as 2 duckies. So if you wanted to have more order dice, then you could run the Water Buffalo instead as 2 duckies instead. That would split up the number of units you have in there. It gets a little weird with the transporting because we're trying to transport 7-man units. Duckies are 12. So you'd again have to do some funging around with things. But you could do that. There are DV7 LVTs that you could run instead of the Ducky, instead of the Water Buffalo. Most of them are MMG only, which means that you're losing some of your anti-armor damage or all of your anti-armor damage, which I don't like, but that's an option too. This list is also really good, I think, in WTC contexts, where you can hold it in reserve, wait for your opponent to throw a list at you that's pretty light on armor, and then you say, yeah, you get to fight the amphib list. So I think this list has legs in certain contexts.
Yeah.
I think it could have better legs than it has, but that wasn't the assignment.
If you're showing up to game night and he shows up with this, does this feel more scary to you than normal stuff, or does this actually feel kind of more advantageous to you?
Well, considering there's no MC13s, like, that's sweet. Let's go. No Shermans. There's no armor. That's what I like. But there's a lot of like some machine guns and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know my infantry will make it out though.
Yeah.
Even with my stuff.
Yeah. Ramming these guys with Storm Tigers is hard. If they haven't gone, they'll wreck you, and that will cause a stagger forward. If you can shoot at them and then ram them, then that's a thing. But I would hope that I would remember to keep the transport away.
My list that's got the triple heavily armored car 243-3s, so I can have, because they've got 1 howitzer and 2 pentaman machine guns, so I can just shoot down all the infantry. Panther who looks hits the Water Buffalo or something like that. It's autocannon, I guess. And then and then we just hope we survive.
Yeah, it works. If nothing else, this is a very different way to play Americans.
Yeah.
Right? Most people are not going to look and say, oh, Americans with tons of submachine guns? Oh, that's new. I did not practice against that. And the fact they didn't practice against it could give you an edge, right? It has the benefit of surprise, if nothing else. So I would work on the AT side of things though. Yeah. That would be my one change.
It needs some work.
Yeah.
The work could happen.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. You could drop the forward MMG and the paratrooper squad and get 2 bazooka teams.
Yeah.
Taking regular at 60 points each.
Yeah.
It's not.
And you have
Not
some transport capacity to carry those. Yeah. That wouldn't be a problem.
So then do you put that in the weasel with the company commander? I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm not sure that that's the best delivery mechanism, but
sure.
You could put it inside, like one of them in the Ducky and one of them in the Water Buffalo, and then you'd still have 4 units to snap with company commander, and you'd have 2 units to snap in the Ducky. That's probably better go. Regular bazooka teams are not that hard to clear, but you're kind of hoping that they eat something at close range on the turn that they jump out.
Yeah.
So Hopefully they make their points back.
Cool.
That's my take.
Well, I think this has been a very interesting thought exercise. If nothing else, again, it's different content than what you typically see from Americans, and it's a little bit of hiding of U.S. Marines, which a lot of people don't tend to talk about U.S. Marines online. It's mostly Ranger talk. So, hope you found it interesting. If you have thoughts, if there's a unit that we passed over that we didn't think about that you think should have been considered for the purpose of the assault category, I mean, I guess let us know down in the comments below. I don't know if we're gonna be doing similar sort of thoughts with other armies. I mean, again, this one kind of came about on a whim.
Yeah, this
So-
one was a win for me.
So,
But leave provocative comments.
Yeah.
They might turn into videos.
Yeah. You never know. So, cool. But yeah, any final thoughts from you guys before I close it out?
I think I'm good.
Sweet. Okay. Well, then we look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. We've really enjoyed this. If there are other questions that you want, let them know down below. Maybe Tiberius will make a video and do some really cool maths for us. And we will see you next time.